Armchair commanders, we call the shots. From our living room thrones where the action's hot. We're the generals of fiction, the masters of war. In silver screen battles with buttered popcorn. Armchair commanders, armchair commanders.
All right, welcome to the Armchair Commanders podcast. My name is John.
And I'm Jack.
And this week we are reviewing a bucket of bullshit.
Now, John, that's not the name of the movie.
Reviewing Tenet.
That's better. So you clearly have thoughts on this movie. Why don't you share them?
It is a masterpiece of our time. I can only fathom the great depth of... fuck this movie, dude.
To be fair, you have to have a pretty high IQ to watch this movie.
Fuck off. The entire time of watching this movie, I kept thinking of that one scene from the episode of South Park where they're making fun of Inception, where they're like, just because it's over convoluted doesn't make it cool. They're like, you're just not smart enough to understand.
Which, I'm going to go out on a limb and say, I didn't find Inception that confusing.
No. Here's the thing, is like, Inception can be confusing, but it's a lot easier for me to track or to go along with that movie. This movie is just fucking stupid.
Yeah, it's something. I mean...
Why don't you tell me what you think about this movie? Because you're the one who picked it.
I mean, I don't hate it. I think it's all right. But... So, the reason I picked this movie is because this came out in 2020, fall, closer to winter. I think September,
yes,
November, around this time.
Only good things happened in 2020.
Shut the hell up. But my point was, the whole lockdown thing happened. And lockdown is pretty rough on me. As you know, I'm a social butterfly, an extrovert, servant to the poor, butler to the great.
I'm a pretty butterfly.
A hobnobber. And everything was just shut down. Like, I had very little in the way of social life. Like, just, wake up, eat, drink, maybe play online games with friends, do my homework on my computer, attend those fucking classes online. God, I hated that. But, and worst, in my opinion, the worst of all, the movie theaters shut down. And I fucking missed going to the theater. Like, when I was bored in college, I would just, fuck off to the movie theater for a couple hours, watch whatever thing was playing. And I couldn't do that anymore. And I really do like going to the theater. It's like the ritual. We talked about this in our Barbenheimer review.
Yeah, it's a whole thing.
Yeah, it's a ritual. It's like a whole social... I don't know. But anyway, like, this was the first major movie to release after the pandemic restrictions started to loosen up. And this is the first movie I saw going back to the theater. And I thought, what in the fuck just happened? Man, wow. It's been 4 years now, and I still can't accurately tell you how a temporal pincer maneuver works.
Or what it is.
Like, one side experiences the event normally, the other is inverted, and they both feed each other intel on the coming battle.
Here's my thing, and I think it's because I have a fundamental disagreement with movies that have time travel as a premise in them.
So, before you continue, can I just say one of my favorite bits of writing advice?
Don't use time travel?
Don't use time travel in a story you care about, or unless you construct it from the ground up to involve time travel. Even then, it's tricky. I give Back to the Future credit for handling time travel well, at least I think so.
I would also say, like, it's not perfect, but, like, I can at least track the logic in Back to the Future.
Yeah, Back to the Future is fairly easy to understand. 2 and 3, I was never big on either of those.
If we leave Back to the Future at just its original film,
yeah,
you can kind of go with it. This, however, is like I stated at the beginning, is a bucket of bullshit.
Yeah, It handles it in a way I've never seen before.
Well, it's time travel, but not really, because we're reversing what the fuck did they call it?
Entropy.
Yeah, we're reversing the entropy. So not only are we doing time travel, but we're refusing to call it time travel, even though that's what it is, but also the rules of, like, the laws of nature and the rules of physics no longer apply, but still kind of apply, but only when it's convenient to our storytelling. Like, I think here's a great example of it is near the very beginning of the movie when our main character is getting fucking reverse entropy explained to him, and the character explaining it to him says, "Don't worry about it, it's too complicated for you to
Don't try
understand."
don't try to understand it. Well, you just explained it.
If you have a character whose only job in the film is to explain something to your protagonist, which also, fuck this movie for naming the protagonist.
Yeah, I was gonna like after I watched this movie and was walking home, like, wait, who was that guy's name? And then I realized he's never once named throughout
It's
the
just
entire movie, just as the
protagonist.
protagonist. Yeah, it's a little pretentious.
I don't know if that's actually his name. That's just what the subtitles called him.
That's what he's credited as in the movie, is the protagonist in the credits. He's never once named.
But you have a character whose only job is to explain and be expository to our main character about how this world that we're about to be introduced to works. And she says, "It's too complicated, don't worry about it." Not only is that a middle finger to the main character, like, it's less of a middle finger to the main character because it sets it up for us to, like, learn alongside him. But it really is just a middle finger to the audience, because it's like, yeah, this idea is just so deep and cool, but, like, it I don't believe in you. Like, you're just going to have to see and trust me in how awesome this is, and, like, eventually you get it. Except that point never fucking comes.
And yeah, that was really bad script writing. Don't try to understand it. Well, explain better.
It's your awesome idea. Explain it to me like I'm a fucking 5-year-old. I don't care.
So another thing that I found interesting in this movie, how do you measure intent? Because he hovers his hand above the bullet, expecting it to zip up into his hand. And then she said, no, you have to like intend to drop it or whatever. And then it actually works. But this reminds
Nothing
me.
in this movie matters or makes sense. For example, that's a rule that they made up. Okay, whatever. Another rule that they made up was, hey, don't run into yourself or else you'll just fucking annihilate yourself. Basically, they were taking, like, Harry
Your
Potter.
particles.
Yeah, they took the Harry Potter approach to time travel, which is like, at least they, like, acknowledge it, but, like, going back in time, like, your past self still exists. So, like, there's essentially two of you running around in the same time space. But, like, in Harry Potter, they're like, don't let your former self see you because you'll go insane. This one's like, you'll just implode. And then the rest of the movie is a bunch of fucking assholes fighting each other, like, especially our protagonist, having a full on fist fight with himself. And
So
nothing fucking comes of it.
if I may get technical, none of his own particles touched each other. He was wearing that full bodysuit the whole time.
The fuck do you mean
B,
his own particles?
like his skin and shit. Skin to skin contact is more what they were talking about. And B, another part of that is it may cause a paradox meeting yourself. And he didn't know that dude was him at the time. I mean, I kind of had a feeling the first time I watched it, like, oh, it's probably one of them later in the movie. Guess what? I was right. But back to the intent thing. This brings up a paradox that I read about a while ago, and it's called the Toxin Puzzle by Gregory Kavka. A billionaire approaches you one day and tells you that he will give you $1 million if you only intend to drink poison that has no permanent effects. It'll just make you sick for about a full day tonight, before actually drinking it the next afternoon. Once that is done, the money will be in your bank account in the morning, and in the afternoon, you can decide not to drink the poison. But suppose there really is a way to check on your intention, since you already know that you can back out and still get the money. How can you truly intend to drink the poison?
I don't know. What's the answer, Jack?
There is no fucking answer. open-ended paradox. It's like the grandfather paradox that this movie kind of touches on. If you go back in time, kill your grandpa, do you exist?
Well, according to Back
There's
to the Future logic,
well, you can prevent your parents from fucking and you disappear like Marty almost did in the first one.
right?
It depends on which law you subscribe to.
Here's my thing, though, is like, I don't like bringing up Actually, no, I love bringing up South Park because
Yeah,
they
it's a
have a
great show.
very succinct way of pointing out bullshit. And nothing, I think that this particular movie is just one giant case. It's a mixture of the Inception episode, and
Give a
it's
hoot, don't pollute.
that in the Goobax episode.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. We do not take kindly to slurs on this.
It's the name of the episode.
The views expressed in this podcast do not necessarily fuck it. But yeah,
But the whole point of that episode is like
people
time
from
travelers come back to the past because we did a shitty job of the present and the future really sucks for them. So now they're coming back and they put like their 50 cents into the bank and it's like millions of dollars, but millions of dollars is equivalent to like a cheeseburger in the future. All that. And they're like, well, what if we just like did better so that the future doesn't suck? And then
we're gonna work for a better future.
Right?
And then they abandon that and go back to the man sex pile.
Yeah, they're like, man, this
Everyone
sucks.
back to the pile.
Back to the pile.
Fucking Randy starts having gay sex, even though he already has a son.
But especially in the premise of this film, so the idea here is that we fucked up the future, so the people in the future are like, well, what if we nuke the past so they can't fuck up our future? Which brings up the grandfather paradox. But their only answer to that, because they're like, dude, that wouldn't work, would it? They're like, well, they think it will, and that's it. And that's another fuck you to the audience moment.
And see, the screenwriters only gave a 2-word answer to this, and it's called they just said the algorithm. The algorithm in this movie is the Infinity Stones in Infinity War, where if you can't explain something, fuck you, Infinity Stones. This is like the most Deus Ex Machina thing ever, the algorithm. My biggest issue with it, yeah, it's stupid, and the whole Oppenheimer parallel, why didn't she just destroy it? Like that she did like the fucking video game thing where she split it into pieces and scattered it across the globe for all the good that fucking did.
The Dragon Balls.
Yeah, she fucking Dragon Balled. And unfortunately, Sador, his only wish was to be an omnicidal maniac, which his name and his company is a reference to have you ever heard of the Sator or Rotas Square?
No.
It spells Sator across the top, Sator on the left side, and Rotas backwards, either or. I can't think of the fucking name for it. But it's one of those things that there are words spelled with the cross sections, and the middle word spelled in the Sator square is Tenet with the T's. And we've been finding it all around the former ancient Roman Empire, and nobody knows what the fuck it is. They think it's some like trinket or meme item. Sort of like how we're going to find a bunch of Pickle Rick stickers in the nuclear bombed out remnants of our cities. But
what could this mean? Was this their god?
And again, we don't know what the fuck it means, but it carried into the Middle Ages. And maybe it was a message to the future. No, it probably not. But that's why in this movie, the bad guy's named Sator and his company is Rotas, which is Sator backwards. Good point, writers.
Excellent screenwriting.
Yeah, really burning the candle at both ends. And that's why the movie's called Tenet, and the foundation that this guy Will in the future founded and was simultaneously recruited by.
He recruited himself.
By proxy, but yes, by sending Edward Cullen back to the past.
I think that's probably the biggest fuck you, or the
what, Edward Cullen? Leave him alone. He's an alright actor.
Edward Cullen was fine in this film. I thought he did a fine job acting. But there's a line he says, and it says, everything in the future has already happened, which means there's no fucking free will. And this film actually like perfectly demonstrates it. Because our protagonist is like, well, what if I decide not to do it? And they're like, you will. But like we are experiencing this story in forward motion with our protagonist in the current time frame. And at the end of the movie, we find out like you go on to be the head of this and like you send me back in time to start this chain reaction. It's a big fucking circle that never fucking ends, and everything that has happened will happen, everything that will happen has happened. It's just like nothing changes. There's no actual threat to society if what happens and what has happened will happen, all that, but like there's no changing it.
I mean, they stopped the
They didn't
fantastical.
stop it.
Yeah, they did. They stopped the algorithm from being activated and erasing them. Which, would it have
They
worked?
didn't stop it because it was never going to happen. It was never going to happen because it
they
was already
stopped it.
preordained that they were going to stop it.
So in a way, they kind of stopped it. See, the way the algorithm supposedly works is it would have erased the past, but by Deus Ex Machina would have not prevented them from ever being born, but changed the world they're living in.
Okay, so listeners at home, we're currently experiencing it's a very Tenet moment, if you will. We're experiencing the exact same fucking argument we had 2 days ago when we watched this fucking movie together, except this time we're arguing over the premise of time being a linear flat circle. You know, this isn't any what we argued about on the day that we watched this was in this movie there's a fucking machine that inverts you. So it makes you go backwards in time, but not actually go backwards in time. It just reverses your entropy and all this shit.
So you experience time backwards.
Right. And it's cool and all that, but there's a line in it that's like, I thought this wasn't invented yet. And I made the point, I was like, it has been.
No, he's like, he said something like this doesn't exist, and she said it hasn't been invented yet.
But it does exist. It is currently manifested in the present space.
Correct, yes, or else he wouldn't be able to use it.
Just because our time period didn't come up with it or create it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. If it does physically fucking exist and they use it.
Well, yes, but my argument was they invent it formally in the future, but they sent it backwards.
I fucking hate this movie.
You look stressed. I hope you have a drink with you.
I do.
Speaking of which, what are you drinking?
Sapporo.
Good choice. I had that for lunch today.
What?
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 I'm not an alcoholic. I'm kidding. But
it's a school night. I'm not drinking anything hard.
Anyway, yeah, I had lunch with Frank today at the sushi place in Pier. It's one of the only places good, actually. But anyway, it's one of the few places in Pier you can actually get Sapporo, like from the iconic sturdy as hell can.
Ooh, I love the big can.
Right? And like they chill it too, so it's just nice. Love it.
What are you drinking?
Pacifico. La Cerveza de Pacifico. I'm not usually big on Mexican beers, but this one's good. It's good. I had a beer last night, but I drank it all. Cosmic Crisp Imperial Blueberry. You know me, I'm a slut for fruity beers. Really good.
I heard Obscure Brewing in Sioux Falls is closing.
Obscure Brewing.
I see the name worked. Anyways.
God, fuck you.
No, it's an actual fucking brewery.
I thought you were making a joke.
No.
How's...
I'll send you the fucking link later.
There's this new brewery called Hipster Brewing. You probably never heard of it.
No. That is a great joke, though.
Yeah, wow, you didn't even intend to make that. But, God, me and Randa and you were out on the town one night in college.
And we reversed our entropy.
Yeah, we reversed our entropy. So we started out hungover, but gradually became more sober the more beer we vomited up or something.
No, the vomited projectile back inside of us.
Right. Like, yeah, and it came up from the toilet and like fucking got back into your esophagus. It was brutal. God, Obscure Brewing, huh? I feel like I've drank their product. several times.
I have no idea if I drank any of their stuff.
But that anyway, so that night you, me, and Miranda were out. I bought her this beer called just simply beer, and she said that was one of the best beers she's ever had. Yeah, Lost Cabin Beer Company. It's they have a brand of beer literally just called beer, and it tastes exactly like a brand called beer would. But I like it. Like it's a really dystopian shit too, because it's like a white label can, and all it says on it is just beer. Period. Like that is some genius marketing. I'm getting exactly what I'm paying for.
Beer.
Beer. If they really wanted to go fun and festive, they would have put an exclamation point. But if they wanted to go mysterious, they would have put a question mark. Beer?
That reminds me of the funniest card in Cards Against Humanity.
Helen Keller. Oh wait, that's apples to apples. Never mind.
No. There's one, and it's not even a dirty card. And it's literally just, it says bees, like the insect.
Bees?
It says bees with a question mark.
God, that is pretty
Bees?
funny. But my favorite card, and I probably shouldn't be telling a wide audience this because it's my go-to card. Like if a player plays this card, I immediately pick it to win when I'm the card czar. But it's two midgets shitting in a bucket. It's just so fucking weird and random that I can't help but not pick it. I think the best white card black card combo for that I got was white card. Life for the American Indian was forever changed when the white man introduced them to two midgets shitting in a bucket. Just don't act like you wouldn't pay to see that. Just two midgets shitting in the bucket at the same time.
I wouldn't pay
Fuck
to see
you,
that.
fucking
I
Philistine.
would Google it, but I would not pay to see.
Come on. Okay, so it was. What if I gave you an ultimatum and you can't pick the third option no matter how much you want? But one, rewatch Tenet again, or two, watch 2 hours of two midgets shitting in a bucket.
2 hours of midget shitting.
Yeah, I thought you'd pick that. But what was your favorite part of the movie? Take as long as you need to.
Don't worry, I need a moment. No, wait, I got it. Cheese grater to the face.
But yeah, cheese. I ordered my hot sauce an hour ago.
So listeners at home, there's this fight scene that partially takes place in the kitchen, which I get it. This is like an action movie, but like there's so much like just stupid action in it that's kind of not necessary. But part of a fight scene takes place in a kitchen. And the first thing I was thinking of, I was like, that poor dishwasher who has to pick up all those broken fucking plates. And as I was saying that out loud in the Discord server, fucking our main character like bashes a dude's face in with a cheese grater.
Get grated, idiot. But is that not most action films though? You just feel so bad for the janitor, the fucking blue collar workers that have to clean up.
Oh, god damn it.
They made an entire video game about this. I can't remember what it's called, but you play as a janitor after a sci-fi action movie takes place. So you have to like clean up blood, bullet holes, alien parts, guts, viscera cleanup detail. I think it's called. Pain in the ass.
A lot of spackle.
Yeah, a whole lot of spackle.
Anyways, more bullshit about this film. Let's talk about how they just decided that they were going to change the fucking rules of physics and thermodynamics and the laws of nature and all that horseshit. Like, so they say, well, the entropy is reversed, so oxygen won't work for your lungs, so you need to bring an oxygen tank. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Fire is no longer hot, it's cold. And our main character gets set on fire. He's like, you're the first person to almost die in a fire from hypothermia. Okay. If those are the rules, why is water not solid to walk on? Why is earth not like liquid to walk on? Why is gravity not pushing you away from earth? Like, how come reverse entropy only affects certain things in this universe that looks cool for the film?
Yeah, because it wanted rules to somewhat make sense, but the more you think about it,
to give rules to give it credence to be like, oh, this is plausible, but it's fucking not. They pick and choose the shit they want.
And my issue with that is, what about the light? like, would light be bouncing out of your eyes onto the object and back into the light source? That would make sense given reversed entropy, but no, they see clearly.
Fair.
But if you don't get too lost in the details, I guess a suspension of disbelief. But
Although
that
they can call each other on phones in reverse entropy land to normal entropy land,
use
but
the
it's just like
radio. It's backwards
it's
gibberish.
backwards. That's it. Like you're telling me that like radio signals and cell phone signals don't get affected by this at all.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, you'd think that would just come back as white noise, right? If anything.
I don't know
I've never been inverted.
because I was inverted.
So, this brings up an interesting point.
That Top Gun's a way better movie than this.
Yes, but if you were to invert yourself, wait. Like, okay, so if you were to invert yourself, have like a full body condom, could you theoretically fuck yourself, assuming none of your direct particles touch?
You mean turn yourself inside out?
No, like wear a full body protective suit or something in a condom.
So you're saying you want to have sex with yourself?
No,
while
I'm
like
just merely
while wearing a
postulating the
Tyvek suit?
possibility. Just merely talking in terms of theoretics.
Jack
Jonathan
wants to fuck himself. Jack wants to
But
fuck
you know
himself.
it. Nobody wants to fuck me.
Oh, that's kind of sad.
But this, like, I always ask people this. This is a great conversation opener, by the way, a great icebreaker. Use it on your next job interview. But
Dinosaurs aren't real.
no, fuck you. They are. We are not fucking starting this again, John. No, absolutely
Hey,
not.
maybe with reverse entropy, we can save the dinosaurs because then we can reverse the path of the fucking meteor.
Somehow. Yeah, maybe the algorithm has something about that can save us. Anyway, god damn it. But if you were to go back in time and have sex with yourself, would it be gay, incest, or masturbation? Or a combination of the three?
All three.
Huh. Now, what if you had a perfect clone of yourself? Not you, mind you, but a clone.
Do you share all the same DNA?
Well, I mean, yeah, probably, presumably.
I would say it's still the same as if you theoretically fucked yourself.
But on what level, though, is the difference between that and masturbation, where you're essentially giving yourself sexual gratification?
I don't know, dude.
I don't know. Don't your buddies at work have an answer to this?
No, we don't.
No,
It's
no,
not
we
a work
don't.
topic.
I didn't go to school for this.
I say that a lot more than you think.
You what?
I didn't go to school for this. I say that almost daily.
Well, I mean, it was kind of your major. It's not like me that got his career in a completely different field. For our listeners at home, I have a Bachelor of Science degree, magna cum laude, in the field of addiction sciences, and I go to work as a librarian. But still, I had a great time.
I mean, a librarian is a very fulfilling position.
Dude, I fucking love it.
I wish I was a librarian some days.
Shit. Given how things are going in the state senate, we might have some positions opened up for you, but we don't know that yet.
Yeah, I'll get right on that. I'll let Miranda know that we're going to ditch Colorado and head out to Pierce so I can be a librarian.
Yeah, I wouldn't advise that. If anything, I'd rather go be a librarian in Colorado.
Lots of, I'll look it up right now. There's actually lots of libraries.
I'm sure the pay is better too.
I mean, the pay is better, but the cost of living is higher.
True. It's the cost of living that'll trip you up.
Hell yeah.
Huh.
Arapahoe Libraries is hiring a library specialist for their mobile library services. So there's this fucking, it's literally like a school bus, like the Bloodmobile that the Red Cross has. But it has books on it, and you like drive it to like nursing homes and shit.
Ooh. I could drive and
maybe not at the same time.
Yeah. But I feel like those are two qualifications for the job that I can check off.
Let's see. Pretty much every college is hiring for librarians. Here you go. Library manager, City and County of Denver, 90,000 to 120.
You probably need a master's degree for that.
Master's schmasters.
Master's schmasters. You know what? That's what I'll tell them.
You have work experience.
Yeah.
Plus,
I'm a blue collar man.
Aren't you basically in charge of like the blind program?
No.
Well, tell them you're in
Hell
charge of
no.
it. Who are they going to do? What are they going to do? Check your references?
I mean, more than likely, yes, that's what their duty is.
No, they're too busy trying to understand this fucking movie.
Yeah, you know what? I'll show them this movie, and while they're thinking about it, I'll slip in my application. I'll lie and say that I can explain what a temporal pincer maneuver is, and they'll
Only
be
if they
impressed by
hire
my
you.
they'll be impressed by my brilliance, but I'll baffle them with my bullshit.
And then when they're like, you haven't explained this to us, and you'll say, I will.
I'll say, don't try to understand it, and it'll all make sense.
What was your favorite part of this movie?
Let me think here. Hell, I'd probably have to go with the final battle, as little sense as it makes. Surface level, it's like, all right.
I feel like the battle was meant to be like so cool and awesome, but like you never really see who they're fighting. Like you see glimpses of them.
Russians.
Like everybody else is just like running and shooting, but like there's not like, I don't know, it's a battle that feels like there's not an enemy.
Russians.
I know that's who the enemies are supposed to be. I'm saying you never fucking see them except for like a glimpse here or there.
Sneaky Russians.
Oh my fucking god. Here's an excellent question to bring up to you.
I can't guarantee I have an answer.
So, after I watched this movie, I immediately went to YouTube and typed in "Why is Tenet bullshit?" because I wanted to see if anybody else agreed with me. And they brought up points that I didn't even think about because, you know, they're smarter than me. One of them was so Neil is our surprise guy who's behind the gate. That's a big moment. Also, these assholes have rocket launchers, grenades, all that shit, and they can't open a goddamn door.
Well, it was locked, see?
Anyways, protagonist sees a soldier laying dead on the other side of this gate, and then like this big fight ensues, and it turns out it's like he's also reversed entropied, and we find out at the very end of the movie, oh, it's Neil, and he sacrifices himself, and there's nothing we can do because free will doesn't exist, and he does what he will do because the future is already determined. If he went back in time and died there, wouldn't that mean that for like a significant amount of time he would have just been like dead and decaying, existing on that side of the grate until protagonist showed up?
Yes, his body just appeared out of nowhere one day and they didn't do anything about it.
Just like reversed appeared out of nowhere and then like reversed decayed.
Yes, he just materialized.
Nobody be like, huh, it's weird that this skeleton just showed up. Oh my god, it's growing maggots.
God.
Now
Hey,
it's a person.
Is that Robert Pattinson?
Oh my god, it's Batman.
So this is what he's been doing.
It's Edward Cullen.
This is where you've been hiding.
I really wanted to shout out, Cedric Diggory, my boy!
I always forget that he was Cedric Diggory until I watch that movie again. I'm like, oh, no fucking way. Also, are the Harry Potter movies on our list?
No, but I think you can make an argument for it. It's so
Wizarding
much
War.
fucking content. So here's the thing. I think that the last two are definitely war movies.
Wizarding War.
Yeah. But you can't really do the last two without the six leading up to it. And I don't know if necessarily the first six, I don't know, it's the backstory to the Wizarding War.
Harry Potter.
I think it is, but Harry Potter is so low on my fucking to-do list for movies.
It's on your to-don't list. Sorry.
We have so many other amazing picks.
Yeah, like Sergeant Stubby.
Sergeant Stubby.
You know, I'm actually excited for that movie the more I roll it around in this little noggin of mine.
I think it's a great story. I'm just scared because of how poorly it looks animated.
Well, maybe it's going to be like a Jonah Hex where we just turn off our brains.
Hex, yeah.
Hex, yeah. Double minigun horse. But
anyway, I wish I could do that for this movie. I wish I could hex, yeah, just put my brain in neutral. But
it
this
tried
is so high and mighty on being pretentious with itself.
Yeah, it tried too hard. You just can't do that.
No, you can't.
But
it's wrong.
What do you say we give our ratings and
okay,
ask Rotten Tomatoes and just put a bow on this?
1 to 5.
cheese
graters
graters.
to the face.
I'm gonna give this 2 cheese graters and a Sador square, so 3 out of 5.
I give this 1 reverse entropy cheese grater, so it's a -1 for me.
Damn, you really hated this movie.
I would rather watch Field of Lost Shoes 6 times
Wow.
than
Okay,
this bullshit.
that is wow, man.
I
That is a
would
tall order.
gladly watch Field of Lost Shoes again than this bullshit.
That is a I'd rather watch this than Field of Lost Shoes. But
Anyways, what does Rotten Tomatoes give it?
right. The tomometer for this is 70% and the popcorn meter is 76%.
It's fucking horseshit.
I guess the audience liked this more than the critics did slightly. I'm going with the critics on this one though.
Well, that has been our review of Tenet. I'm way more looking forward to our next movie.
Really? What's our next movie?
It's going to be Blizzard of Souls, a World War I Eastern Front movie.
I was really interested when you told me this because I can't name a single Eastern Front World War One movie. It's always
If I'm
the
not
Western
mistaken,
Front.
with the exception of like Come and See, I think this is our first like Eastern European produced film. Because like Russia produces a lot of war movies, actually.
How much are propaganda?
All of them. But
Naturally.
if I'm not mistaken, Blizzard of Lost Souls is Latvian produced. I mean, it should be because it's about the Latvian riflemen. Let's see. Ooh, you can listen to it in French, German, Estonian, or Latvian.
No English?
No.
Fair enough.
Well, maybe it is in English because it says The Rifleman as its English title.
I think I'd rather watch this in Latvian with dubs because or subs because I'm pretentious like that.
Yeah. No, this was produced in Latvia, so.
First Latvian movie, let's go.
Yay! I didn't pick this because I'm sad at all. I am. So the reason I picked this movie, and I'll go further into it, but the last link that I have to the old country passed away this weekend. So
I'm sorry to hear that.
he was a great guy. But I'll discuss more about him next week, and we'll dedicate the episode to him. But anyways, you have anything else?
Nope.
All right, well, if you have enjoyed this episode, please leave a review. The stars do matter. If you want additional content from us, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok for as long as that still exists. Until next time, I've been John.
And I'm Jack.
And we will see you all later. You should say bye backwards. Reverse entropy bye. Thanks.
I don't know if I did it right.